of success is that I will be more and more mobile, I will take on position after position, I will keep going upwards and upwards and upwards, and it won't make a difference to me what I'm depriving myself of in terms of a family life, in terms of physical wellness, in terms of health that will allow for me to continue long into my years, in terms of any of these kind of things, to forget even what it does to me emotionally and spiritually. All I want is more and more and more. And I am made successful because I have more than you do. But this is not what we are being taught. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. How successful are those who have belief? And then Allah Azza wa Jal, He goes into the description of these people with 7 different attributes. الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. That those who in their prayer they have khushu', they have a steadfastness, they have a certain calmness. And if we are to even go back for a little bit and understand this concept of falah, not to go back, but we would understand that total falah, total success is something that is everlasting, and is something that will always be with us, and we can't ever find it when we are thinking in terms of this world. But if we are thinking in terms of true success, of total satisfaction, it will come to a place where we will never find illness, where we will never be deprived of provision, where we will never be deprived of anything in any capacity, and that will come to us solely in Jannah. Inshallah ta'ala, Allah Azza wa Jal will grant all of us entrance into paradise without any judgment, and allow for us to remain therein in the company of all those whom we care about and love, and in the company of His most beloved alayhi salam. But we have to understand that it is a process, and what these verses are telling us, that if you were to follow these, if you were to take on these attributes, you would have simply an idea that would get you to that point of total falah, of total success. And so then he says, الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Those who in their prayer they have khushu', they have a certain calmness. And this thing of khushu', we would have to understand that when it is defined and when it is given a definition through the people who came before us, they would say that it gives you a certain calmness, a certain tranquility in your heart. But the Sahabis, they would have different definitions of it. Well, they would give a different definement of it, leading to the point where you would have pure contentment within you when you are focusing on your prayer, when you are focusing on your salah. That the likes of Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, he would say that khushu' is when you have the ability to not glance here and there and sideways during the course of your prayer. That others would say that you would look at the place where you are prostrating, that you would have a complete concentration on it, and you would not be looking elsewhere. That Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he narrates in the hadith that there was a man in the course of his prayer who was playing with his beard, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, upon seeing it, says that a man, he does not have true khushu', his heart does not have true calmness or tranquility when his limbs and his body does not respond in accord. That if you are moving here and there and looking elsewhere and your body is swaying back and forth, that this is not a sign that you have tranquility or peace in your prayer. Aisha radiallahu anha, she says on one occasion that she is making her salah, and Abu Bakr radiallahu anha comes and chastises her. That she seems to be swaying back and forth, moving all over the place, and Abu Bakr becomes angry, saying that you don't have tranquility in your salah, you are not giving it the focus that it deserves. Do you not understand it seemingly that you have taken on the prayer of the Yahud, that you are moving back and forth in these manners? And if we can't overcome the mere physical aspects of our prayer, how can we really get deeper into it and let us be focused upon it in a spiritual way? That it will move our hearts to a point where we actually want to pray our prayers. That we actually get to an understanding that the purpose of this salah, the purpose of this prayer, is that we are remembering Allah Azza wa Jal. That even when He defines the munafiqeen in the Qur'an, and He speaks about the way that they would pray, He would say that this is something that they are doing just for show. That when they would stand up for the prayer, they would do it out of laziness, that they wouldn't be doing with any kind of steadfastness, and in their prayer they are only remembering Allah Azza wa Jal just a little bit. يَذْكُرُ اللَّهَ قَلِيلًا. The munafiqeen, even in their prayer, Allah is saying they remember Him a little bit. But where do our thoughts go when we are praying our salah? Can we even compare ourselves to those who were hypocrites at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, that they are being defined, that they, when they pray, they still remember even a portion of the time Allah Azza wa Jal? But again, our thoughts, we are distracted by all kinds of things taking place around us. That even if we get to the point where we are praying our 5 daily prayers in their time, the way that we are taught is one of the best deeds in the eyes of Allah, our thoughts are elsewhere. I need to get back to my office. I need to get back to my work. That my child doesn't speak to me. I don't have a good relationship with him. That I don't know how to keep my wife happy. I don't know how to do anything in terms of family development. That where am I going to put food on my table? That, oh, did I see this last movie that was taking place? I have to study for this examination. All kinds of thoughts are going through our minds, but the thought that never enters into it is that we are standing in front of our Rabb Azza wa Jal, and He has commanded us to do so but 5 times. أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ That have you seen the one who rejects the judgment, who rejects the deen? And as we go through it, we all know the surah, وَفَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ That woe be to those who are negligent of their prayer, woe be to those who are negligent of their salah. We are not even at a point where we can entertain the idea as to how we can get more concentration in the 5 daily prayers that have been mandated to us, because we don't even pray them on time. And some of us don't even pray them. How many times did many of us miss the Salat al-Fajr this week? How many times in the last month have we not woken up to pray it, and we have said, once the sun has risen, then I will pray it? How many of us in the last 40 days have not prayed our 5 prayers consistently in their time? Forgetting the mandate to pray it in the masjid, forgetting the mandate to pray it in congregation. The Prophet ﷺ has said that the 2 rak'ah sunnah of the Salatul Fajr is such that it is worth the entire world and everything in it. How many of us are letting these things behind? That if you knew the worth, if you knew the bounty that would be given to you if you pray these prayers in congregation, you would crawl to the masjid if you had to. That a blind man comes to the Prophet ﷺ and says that, Ya Rasulullah, will you relieve me of my obligation to pray in congregation in the masjid? And the Prophet ﷺ says that, can you hear the call to prayer? And because he could hear the call to prayer, he still had to go and do it in the masjid. But we're not even at a point where we can entertain those ideas. We can't even say, okay, from tomorrow, I will go and pray every salah in the masjid. That from tomorrow, I will be the one who will stand in the first saf and make the call to prayer, to call the adhan, a reward that is given even greater capacity than the one who is leading the prayer. So how are we going to be able to start understanding the verses that profess belief through our commitment to these actions when we're not even undertaking them from a purely external manifestation? الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ That those who in their prayer have khushu'. Imam